An iPhone 13 right now is like an abusive partner, you just can't let go. Everyone on YouTube says the iPhone 13 is the best iPhone to buy right now. After years on the market, it's not the same iPhone it once was. And if you are short on cash, you have only one shot at picking a cheap iPhone. I've used it long enough to know everything about it, and by the end, you'll know exactly whether it's worth your money. The iPhone 13 was my fourth iPhone. I started with the yellow iPhone 5C, then jumped to the 7, then 10, and then 13, and when I bought it, it was essentially brand new. But now, iPhone 13 is like a phone from a different age. On paper, it looks like a snatch. It has a big and a bright display. 6.1 inches is a perfect size for any hand. Not too big, not too small. I'm not a huge fan of new iPhones getting bigger and bigger. Size-wise, they peaked with the 11 Pro. Anyways, the design and comfort are a bit underwhelming now. I've used 15 Pro long enough to get used to rounded edges, and the sharpness of the iPhone 13 is a bit refreshing, to say the least. But no one of you is gonna use it without a case. You're gonna slap some ridiculous case on it and call it a day. This design and screen and size were so successful that Apple straight up reused them for the iPhone 16e. Yeah, the back looks a bit different and the internals are way better, but from the front it's the same phone. And this display is really nice, even by today's standards. It's plenty bright, durable, and the colors are really nice. It's hard to count how many movies, TikToks and videos I've watched on it. The peak brightness here is only 1000 nits, which doesn't sound like a lot. The new iPhones do 2000 easily, but they also get super hot. My 15 Pro gets really hot under the sunlight and dims the brightness fast. So in the real world, the difference won't be that huge, because iPhone 13 is thermally very sound. No matter what you throw at it, it won't get hot. Maybe that's why Apple switched back to aluminum. And guys, I really need your help. YouTube is my only job now, so please subscribe to the channel, like this video and leave a comment. Every little thing helps. It's really gonna help my channel grow. The new iPhones have come so far that all the things that sounded like an advantage a year ago feel the opposite now. The new iPhone 17 lineup had a bunch of great upgrades and very tasty prices. And last year's iPhones are discounted, so you could snag them for cheap. Where the iPhone 13 really falls flat is the Lightning port. Sorry guys, but Lightning sucks for all the reasons except one. It can output power. Let me explain. The Lightning here is slow. It's slow for data transfer, slow for charging, and overall it's quite terrible. The Type-C in new iPhones is superior, faster, easier to find a cable, and overall more versatile. I can plug in a screen, an external drive, or just charge other things. The iPhone 13 can do none of that, but with it you have something better. Lightning can output additional power for wired microphones with the 3.5mm jack adapter. New iPhones don't have that. So if you plan to do YouTube videos with external mic, the 13 is a great choice. It can't do log videos, but can do cinematic. And if you lock the white balance, the videos come out pretty sweet. My footage of the iPhone 15 Pro review was shot entirely on the iPhone 13, and it looks almost professional. I'd say the camera here is the best part of the phone. It aged the best, even though it lacks most of the cool tricks. It's 12 megapixels on main and ultra-wide lenses, and they do a remarkable job even in low light. If you know how to frame your shot and what the limitations of the sensor are, you could create something that Apple would later put in the keynote. That's how good the camera can be. With these cameras, it's more about how you shoot and what you shoot. I've managed to get some great shots out of it. Just look at a few of them. By the way, all of these were taken in rich contrast style. It makes photos a bit punchier, more alive. First, lower the exposure. You need to lower it a bit to get better shadows and contrast. Get some texture in those shots. 2. Be creative. I'm gonna make a whole video about iPhone photography, so subscribe to the channel for that. Though you are limited in some ways. I always felt like it was really lacking the zoom camera, and some of my best shots were taken on a zoom lens. It tightens up the shot, brings the background closer, and overall gives you more creativity. And the digital zoom here isn't ideal, far from it. The algorithms Apple used back then weren't as great at image processing, and upscaling just made photos look fake. So don't even try to zoom with it. Should be fine for zooming into menus if you're like 65 and can't see a thing, but for photography, nope. The thing you need to keep in mind before buying the iPhone 13 is performance. You might have noticed that my iPhone isn't on iOS 26 and not even on iOS 18, all because those updates suck all the life out of the phone. The chip inside is great, no doubts about that, but the RAM, it's just not enough. And on iOS 26 you would see occasional slowdowns and stutters, I can guarantee that. To avoid that, just set it up as a new iPhone, don't restore from iCloud, and restart it once in a while, okay? It's an oldie now, so new animations and multitasking are a bit too much for it. Though if you do update, you'll love it. The iOS 26 brings some new life into it, freshens up the looks and feel, although I would keep it on iOS 17 for as long as it's supported, just for the sake of battery life and performance. Apple Intelligence doesn't work on it anyways. And Apple Intelligence is an interesting topic that I probably should cover in another video, because I never knew Apple could shit the bed that hard. But that's not the point. The iPhone 13 doesn't have that, and that's a good thing. Trust me, you don't want those Genmojis. And one more thing about updating iOS, don't do that. I have a rule, you're allowed to install 2 iOS updates after the device comes out, or at least its hardware does. So with the iPhone 13, the last one should have been iOS 17, and that's the OS I have in all the footage. But iOS 18 is passable, performance-wise, even though the changes it had were questionable. So if you get a refurbished one now, it might come with iOS 15 if you're lucky. But if it comes with iOS 17, don't update. Leave it. You should still get a few years of app support, because every new update pushes the battery harder and harder, and battery life used to be great on iPhone 13. It's still decent, but when compared to iPhone 15, it falls short. On older iOS, it will be good, less you a day. On iOS 26, trust me, half a day if you're lucky, with stutters and dropped frames from animation. Oh yeah, and charging! It would be slow. It does support 20 watt fast charging and it has MagSafe wireless, but both will take a while to charge. And if you want those old batteries to last, you need to charge with the slow adapter. I made a great video about charging your iPhone a while back, but it didn't get much views, so show it some love, you'll learn something new, and I'll get some more joy from doing YouTube. What I always hated about this iPhone was how problematic it was at times. For example, my AirPods Pro won't connect to it. They'd lose connection, one ear would work, while another one won't. The cellular won't connect to a network after a plane lands. It might be my thing, but my phones never seem to find a connection fast. While everyone is messaging already, I'm waiting for the connection. Third, the exposure in the camera would get too high uncontrollably. This is the weirdest one, but still, I'd have to manually lower it and refocus. There were lots of things like that I don't have with newer iPhones. Maybe it's just unlucky me, or maybe it's my phone that was faulty. I think the thing that got people so excited about the iPhone 13 now is the price. On Amazon you could get it for a little over $300. Might be lower when you're watching this, and with some carriers you can get it for $200, $250 if you honor the contract, which is a great deal for iPhone that's still modern and recent. But again, it's like something from another age. After using newer iPhones with Dynamic Island, I feel really weird going back to the 13, with its notch and thick bezels. After smooth edges, holding it is not super comfy. And the lightning, you got the idea. It's a relic of the good old days when AI and algorithms didn't control our life as much, and when the grass was greener. I have only fond memories and experiences with this iPhone, but for that price, add $15 and get the iPhone 14. Essentially the same phone, but the camera has action mode, slightly better algorithms for low-light photos, and one extra GPU core. Or add $80 and get the base iPhone 15. That's gonna be a totally different experience. You'll get a much better display with Dynamic Island, Type-C, new chip inside that's gonna rock iOS 26 like it was intended, and a lot more. New cameras, features, better battery life. That's a lot of improvements for $80. But if you manage to find one of those crazy $200 deals, then yeah, get it. Totally worth it. Was it my best iPhone? No, it wasn't. but a close third. The 10 was a bit better for me personally, more my vibe. So in the end, even an abusive partner can be a great deal, as long as you know when to quit. Using the iPhone 13 won't be perfect. You might even hate it at times, and sometimes it will hurt you with its slow charging, performance and battery life on iOS 26 if you update. But overall, you'll still have great memories, like I did. Thanks for watching, sub to the channel, hit the like button and leave me a comment. See you in the next one.